Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks, Toby, Kobe. Cassiar Gold, we are a Canadian gold explorer, and we're focused on our flagship assets by the same name, the Cassiar Gold Project. Just want to bring your attention to the forward-looking statements and disclaimer. Just starting with a 30,000-foot view, Cassiar Gold, we already have a significant resource with a lot of potential for resource expansion. What really sets us apart as a company is the fact that we have really good access in existing infrastructure because we're a brownfield project. So that means we have permits. A lot of that infrastructure is probably worth in a $100 to $200 million valuation. And the mine permits themselves probably puts us years and years ahead in permitting timelines. Now, other than the resource expansion and that infrastructure potential as well, we have a great team, and I'll go into some detail in a second. And then, very importantly, we have the social license to operate, and we are committed to advancing our project in a sustainable and responsible way. And last but not least, we are very attractively valued, and the last 12 months have been hard for a lot of the companies in the gold space, from producers to mid-tiers to juniors. We're no different, and our market cap is under 50 million, which is very attractive for considering what we have and the exploration potential, the infrastructure, etc. So maybe just giving you the lay of the land, we have two assets. Our flagship, as I mentioned, is the Cassiar Gold Project, located in northern BC. That project is in 100 kilometers south of the Yukon-BC border, roughly 200 kilometers north of the Red Crest mine, which is majority owned by Newcrest, along Highway 37, the main highway that goes into the Yukon. And that's where we have 100% of our focus. Other than that, we also have the Sheep Creek assets. It's a very prospective district that until 1951 has produced nearly 750,000 ounces at nearly 15 grams per ton. So, and very, very little work has been done there. We're, as I mentioned, not doing anything there at the moment, but it's a project that we believe could generate value with future exploration or potentially with some M&A as well. And we're actually having some active discussions with producing companies for a potential JV or M&A there. Maybe zooming into our team, this is really one of our biggest assets, really. Myself, I'm Portuguese, born and raised. I started my career in private banking. I moved over to capital markets at Barclays for a few years. Then I did my MBA between London Business School and Hong Kong UST, and I spent 8 years investing and advising in the precious metal space, from juniors, mid-tiers to majors. And that's actually how I met Steve Ledwin, our chairman, largest individual shareholder. Is a former president and CEO of IM Gold, so very relevant experience and track record there. And we also have another Steve on our board, Steve Robertson. He's a geologist. He actually received the Schultz Award for Excellence in Mine Development in 2016 for his work at Red Crest, which is just 200 kilometers south of us on Highway 37, so very relevant experience and track record too. We also have Chris Stewart on our board. He's a mining engineer, turnaround specialist. He's now the CEO of Minto Metals, a copper producer in the Yukon. Again, very relevant experience and track record. And then we also have James Maxwell on our board. He's another geologist. He's actually the VPX for First Mining Gold and a former exploration director for Sabina Gold and Silver. Sabina has 10 million ounces nearly in the Arctic Circle, and they just got to take over a bit from B2 Gold. As of our VP of Exploration, we have Vern Sheen. Vern joined us a year ago from the BIMA B2 Gold Group. Vern's expertise is really taking advanced deposits, trying to do edge drilling, find the edges of the deposit, and eventually taking these projects to metallurgical, economic studies, and eventually into production. He has helped define reserves of nearly 8 million ounces, and 5 million of those are now into production. Other than this, we also have Dave Reese. He's probably one of the most sought-after structural geologists in orogenic gold systems, which is the type of systems that we have. He spends quite a bit of his time at Fosterville down in Australia, as well as at Brucejack, which was acquired by Newcrest for $2.8 billion, and it's not too far away from our project as well, and is truly a great addition to the team as well. And then we have the great Doug Kerwin, 50 years of exploration experience, PDAC Tail Lindsay Award recipient, and all of this, high caliber of people is really well supported by a very energetic and young team on the ground that's been doing some really fantastic job. In terms of the cap structure, we have 82 million shares outstanding. At roughly 58 cents, our market cap is just under 50 million Canadian, 47 million, 0.6. We have just under 5 million in the bank. We have analyst coverage from Kobe here. Thank you very much, Kobe. $1.60 price target there. Hopefully, we can see that number going higher. And we have very good insider ownership as well, roughly 8%. We also have very good institutional support as well. You probably recognize a lot of the names there. Sprott Asset Management. You have EMA, US Global, Mermican out of the US. We have Terra Capital out of Australia. We have Commodity Discovery Fund, Ixios out of Europe. We have EMC, MCM, Legal out of Hong Kong, just to name a few. In terms of social license, community sustainability, this is something that we are very lucky with. We have an excellent relationship with our community and First Nation partners. We try to hire locally as much as possible. We provide training opportunities. We try to hire local contractors as much as possible as well to support the local economy. On the environmental side, we do water monitoring, wildlife monitoring, and we're very, very lucky and very happy with the relationship that we have there, and we're very thankful for the community support as well. In fact, last year, most of our core shack is comprised of First Nation members, and it's really great to see, and we're very lucky, as I mentioned. Zooming into our flagship project, our Cassiar Gold project, it's 100% owned, 59,000 hectares of opportunity, 27 kilometers by 25 kilometers. We're bisected by Highway 37 here that comes from the south. So north of the highway is Cassiar North, south of the highway is Cassiar South. North of the highway is comprised mostly of bulk tonnage, near surface, open pitable targets like our Taurus deposit, and we have a few targets that are lookalike to the Taurus deposit at Cassiar North. And then Cassiar South is where most of the historical high-grade underground production has come from. Very, very high grade. I'll go into some detail there in a second. And we're basically surrounded by infrastructure. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is really something that really sets us apart as a company. We have Highway 37 bisecting our property. We have 160 kilometers of property access roads that allow us to get to most of our exploration targets. We have a fully owned and permitted mill on site, 300 tons per day. We also have 17 portals, tailings facilities, and we have 25 kilometers of underground workings connecting all the infrastructure that we have at surface to the underground veins. You can see a couple of pictures there with the power lines. We have also power access, water access, and we also have an airstrip 1.2 mile long, not too far away from the deposit. As I was mentioning, the replacement value of this infrastructure is well north of $100 million, probably a couple of $100 million. And as inflation keeps on impacting all of our lives, the replacement value of this infrastructure also goes up, and it takes us so much further ahead in terms of development costs as well. Other than this infrastructure, you can see the picture there with our fully owned and permitted mill, which is in relatively good shape. We also have mine permits. We have mine permits in the north, covering in and around the Taurus deposit there in green. And we also have mine permits in the Cassiar South Table Mountain area, where most of the historical high-grade production and infrastructure that supports it is. And as I mentioned, this puts us years and years ahead in permitting timelines. This is a slide that really demonstrates the heart of our property and the geological potential. This is a 15-kilometer trend with a lot of gold showings, with a lot of historical production from the bulk tonnage, historical production from the high grade, as well as a lot of exploration there that's been finding a lot of mineralized intercepts, and I'll go into some detail here in a second. Maybe starting with our foundational resource, the Taurus deposit. This is where we have a 1.4 million ounce resource at 1.14 grams per ton, right at surface, with a cutoff grade of 0.5, which is arguably a little bit high, especially when you consider that the current deposit is a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, where 90% of those 1.4 million ounces occur within 150 meters from surface. What you can see as well in this slide here is you can see a lot of gaps there in the resource, in the cross-section, in the map view. These gaps are not mineralization gaps, these are drilling gaps. And in fact, we've been drilling and infilling these areas quite successfully from the drilling we have released so far. And more than half of our drilling, of the 23,000 meters we drilled last year, hasn't been released yet. So stay tuned for more results. One thing that I also wanted to mention is that there were 35,000 ounces produced from the Taurus East mine. And that gives you some comfort in terms of the recoveries, given that production was done and recovered from a gravity mill as well. This slide here shows some of the mineralization styles at Taurus. So we have disseminated golden basalts. We also have these very thin veinlet systems that are in the centimeter scale that overprint some of this disseminated mineralization. These veinlet systems are very thin, but they occur in swarms that can be 10, 20, 30 meters wide, 40 meters wide, and they really, in these corridors, they really bump up the average grade to 2, 3, 4 grams per ton sometimes. So it's very, very exciting, and it's very important that we really understand well these corridors of higher grade. Other than Taurus, it's open laterally in all directions, so there's a lot of room to grow there. We don't know how big it's going to get, but other than Taurus that remains open, we have some look-alike targets at Cassiar North that are not too far away from Taurus. We have Wings Canyon there on the southeast of Taurus, 500 meters to the southeast of Taurus, with these beautiful quartz veins at surface. We actually just intercepted some mineralization we released this morning. I'll encourage you to have a look there. We're expanding mineralization there. We also have a couple of other targets. We have Lucky, which is roughly 3-4 kilometers to the northwest of Taurus. We have Snow Creek, which is 2-4 kilometers to the northeast of Taurus, and a long strike with outcropping mineralization. In some instances, like in Lucky, very high-grade grab samples. In Snow Creek, outcropping quartz veins there. And we believe there's a potential for these targets to be Taurus lookalike, or potentially even connect with Taurus, in which case this system will be truly massive. But first off, we're planning to drill there this year, so do stay tuned for the work that we'll be doing there this year. And also, we actually did some grab samples there last year that we haven't received the assays, so do stay tuned for that as well. Now, focusing on the high grade, this is something that gets a lot of our investors, and myself as well, really excited. So this is where most of the historical production has come from. 315,000 ounces have been produced in 10, 13, 17, almost 21 grams per ton. Very, very high grade. This is reported recovered grade using that gravity and flotation mill that we have on sites. And most of these vein systems are open along strike, and a lot of room for offsets, as well as potential for blind, parallel, and stacked vein systems. Periodicity suggests that every 400 to 600 meters, there's potential for parallel and stacked vein systems. And when we're drilling to extend the non-vein systems, we're also trying to hit these blind vein systems. So it's something that is quite exciting. In 2021, we drilled for the first time as a company at Cassiar South. We drilled 7,000 meters, 19 drill holes. And out of the 19, we hit the structures in 18. As they say, in these high-grade vein systems, you drill for structure and then you mine for grade. And we've been drilling for structure very, very effectively. And in fact, we also hit some very nice intercepts. Some of the highlights from that program are 4.8 meters at 35 grams per ton, as well as 6.4 meters at 12.6 grams per ton. And these intercepts are not only very nice widths and grades, but they're also within 100 meters of underground development. That really goes to show how valuable this underground development is for our project as well, especially when you consider that we already have a fully owned and permitted mill and mine permits as well. Now, just to give you a bit of an overview into our program last year, as I mentioned, we drilled 23,000 meters. We allocated roughly 14,000 towards Taurus, 1,500 meters to outlying targets like Wings Canyon, and 7,600 meters towards Cassiar South. Just as of today, we released 8 drill holes. So before that, we had 45 drill holes pending, just over 15,000 meters of drilling, half coming from Cassiar South, which we haven't released anything. So do stay tuned for that. and from the wing scanning we just released, and we still have a few thousand meters from the Torres area that keeps on expanding, keeps on growing, and we keep on hitting, which is really what you want to see. Other than that, we're doing some geological, metallurgical domaining and metallurgical work as well. So that's ongoing. We're currently doing some leucosulfur analysis and cyanide solubles for proxies for gold recoveries in our metallurgical domains. We're going to see if they confirm our modeling, and after that, we'll be looking to, in the summer, doing bottle roll testing for recoveries. Other than that, we also did that field work that we're mentioning, those grab samples at Snow Creek and Lucky, so more news coming out of that. This is a bit of a slide with the location for all the drilling. As you can see there in pink, there's a 1.4 million ounce resource area. We've been infilling those drilling gaps quite successfully. They're not mineralization gaps, they're drilling gaps. We're turning those drilling gaps into potential for expansion. We've been stepping out to the north, stepping to the south very successfully, stepping to the east very successfully. We just released some results there, and we're very happy. As you can see, the problem is getting bigger. We keep on expanding, you keep on hitting, and we want to continue that work this year as well. In fact, this year we have a planned 20 to 25,000 meter drill program to continue the momentum of the last few years. At Cassiar South, as I mentioned, 7,600 meters of drilling. We haven't released anything, so do stay tuned for that. We're looking to extend the known veins. We're looking for blind vein discoveries as well, parallel and stacked vein systems. And you can see the high-grade nature of the ore on the picture. Very, very nuggety, very, very attractive, very, very exciting. So just in terms of catalysts, until the end of March, we'll be releasing the results from the 23,000 meters we drilled last year. So we have roughly, right now, just nearly 13,000 meters to release, 37 drill holes still pending after the drill results today. We're doing that metallurgical work, and we're already planning the drill campaign. We're opening camp in May, and looking to start drilling in the beginning of June. And we might see some news on exploration agreement in the meantime as well. So just to recap, we have a significant resource already, tremendous growth potential in terms of the resource as well, both from the bulk tonnage, as well as from the high grade, as well as from the outlying targets. And the ones that I mentioned are just a few. We have a wealth of opportunity in our 60,000 hectare land package. What really sets us apart is that infrastructure. It puts us hundreds of millions of dollars ahead in development costs and years in permitting timelines. We have a great team to go along with these assets. And we have the social license. We're committed to advance these assets in a sustainable and responsible way. And we are very, very attractively valued. You can see what insiders are doing. Insiders are buying. I guess with that, I'll open for questions. Thank you very much for listening.